Well, the next guest does not need any introduction. I mean, my first book was Chetan Bhagat, and he's been a phenomenal writer. He's written two states, movies, I'm talking about two states. You have Kai Poche, the recent Bollywood movie that was Kick. Excited? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chetan Bhagat. Thank you for your time. So, first question, I mean, this book, 4 years, 5 seasons, and finally we have a book. How was your experience writing the book?
It was, well, it was a double-sided sword, I would say, because the stories are quite, they're real stories, they're based on real events. So we actually went through 4 seasons of the show to pick out the stories that were the most poignant, that were the most touching, that were the most important. And then I put them into stories, into fictionalized stories, but they're dark stories. You know, they're based on real events. So as I was writing them, sometimes you see young women who've gone through rape and sexual violence, and they've been abused, and so it was pretty difficult. But I do think that I felt that these were important stories that everyone should read and know about.
So, how was your experience?
I mean, Ira is, hi everybody. Ira has done the book, and when Channel V came to me, I thought it's great that a TV show is becoming a book. Normally it's the other way around. Anything that encourages books is good, and I think this connects books to television, and people have a more appreciation for story. Which
Absolutely, and it makes them also immortal in many ways, because the book will remain with you. You can pick it up an hour, once in a while. But these stories that we've chosen are the most stories of the entire season.
Yeah, and for me, it's genre. I've not written in, and I don't think I can on horror and thriller and those kind of things, crime. But it's always, it's quite commendable. Ira wrote it, and Gumrah did it.
Yeah, and it's part of our reality. And when I was actually researching this book, I found that some of the statistics that I came across were outrageous. Something like 90% of sexual crimes are committed by
Every bookstore. So, we've spoken about the book. Can we see the promo now? Can we have the promo? So
That's the only acting we have ever done. So,
the acting, first time.
and it was very hard to be so serious for that promo, I must tell you. It was on crime and everything.
So sorry to inform you that Karan Patel, the show host, could not make it because the doctor advised him he's sick. So we're sorry for that. So it's been 4 years, 5 seasons, and we finally have a book. So are we ready for the book launch? Yes.
It's an oversized book.
Oh, wow. All right, so what do we do?
So Ira is the author of the book, and Chetan sir has given the foreword. So Ira, what was your favorite part of the book? And can we have the book reading done?
Sure. So I'm going to. I'm not sure favorite is the right word with stories that are a little horrific, but I'm going to tell you about a short story which I felt was, I don't know, particularly disturbing. Maybe because in some ways I could relate to it in my own life. And when I was writing this book, when I was writing this particular story, I really somehow felt like I put a little bit of myself in it, at least the background part of it. So the story is called Naz. And the story begins with two teenagers who have lived in the US and they moved back to a small town in Haryana because their father has gotten a new job. So a little bit similar to my background because I too moved from the US to Indore, a small town, when I was about in the ninth standard. And so she moves to school, she goes to a junior college, and her brother, and it's very hard for them to make friends because they're these kids, they're from out of town, they're very different. All the kids in this town are pretty, small-minded. She doesn't speak Hindi very well. And her brother, especially, he was very popular back in the US. He was a very good football player. And he comes back, and it's hard for them to make friends. And the brother then falls into some bad company. It's a bunch of 4 boys, and they have a gang, and they're quite, they're bunking classes, they're always getting into trouble. One of the boys, his father's an important politician, so they can't kick him out of school. And so eventually, the brother makes friends with these kids, and they're always coming over to his house. And Naz, who is his sister, she's happy because she feels, wait, my brother's making friends, maybe these friends can be my friends as well. And so one day when she goes out, it's during her exams, her parents go for a wedding, she can't go because she has to take her exams. She goes out to pick up a movie, and in those days, you had those movie rental shops. So she goes out to pick up a movie to watch as a study break, and she bumps into these 4 boys. And when she comes back, they sort of invite themselves over to her house, these 4 boys, and they say, can we come over to watch the movie? And she says, okay. And when she does invite them, they start acting funny. As she watches the movie, and there's no one at home. Her parents and her brother have gone for the wedding, and then they rape her. They rape her that night, and when her parents come back, she's too embarrassed to tell them what has happened, and she goes into a depression. So, and this is a true story. So I'm going to just read a little bit of that section of what happened. So the story is told from 2 points of view, her brother's and hers. And so this is Naz. And Naz means pride. So the story also means how her own pride was broken by the injustice that was done to her. For days I was numb, unfeeling. I felt as if I was stuck in a nightmare that I hoped would end very soon. But it was unending, and the more I moped, the more I kept to myself, the deeper I sank into depression. I didn't want to tell anyone or talk to anyone. I only wanted to be by myself, alone, because a part of me kept on saying that the nightmare would end soon. But it didn't. It just got darker and darker, till one day, even though I'd said that I would not, I told AB everything. AB is her brother. Once I did, I felt as if a huge weight was lifted from my shoulders, but I was also more scared. What would happen now? AB was shocked, angry, violent, sad. He broke down, and holding his head in his hands, he blamed himself for everything, for befriending those criminals, for bringing them home, for his poor judgment. But unlike me, despite being devastated, he took action, beginning by telling my parents. Papa did not want to go to the police. He did not trust them. He thought that we should deal with it ourselves instead of turning it into a public scandal handled by inept authorities. Mom, on the other hand, was both livid and crying at the same time, put her foot down and told him that she would move heaven and earth to make sure that those boys got sentenced, and that to happen we had to seek redress and get justice. And justice we did get. Within weeks, all 4 boys were charged with rape. Nab, Arjun, and Rakshay were sentenced to lifetime terms in prison. Ronak was below 18, was sent to a juvenile correction center. The judge, a kind old lady, assured us that she would ensure that he got his due punishment, though it looked unlikely at the present moment. In one way, I was satisfied with the outcome of the trial, but in another, I knew that it didn't really matter because something fundamental within me had been destroyed. And no one, no lawyer, no judge, no arm of justice could ever restore that. So, also in this story are little elements of the Nirbhaya rape case, and that's why I had one character who was sentenced to a juvenile facility. So, several of the stories are a little disturbing, but they're important stories to read, and they are educational, and they're quite gripping. I'm not saying that these are really dark and you're going to get depressed if you read them. Don't think that. They are pretty gripping. They are pretty thrilling, and I do think that especially if you like crime stories, these are exciting to read as well.
Interesting. So you've given the forward for this. Can you read the best part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll basically give the essence of the forward rather than reading it word for word. But I mean, the purpose of this book is not to scare you. It's a little scary, but that's because the stories are. But all human beings have a need to socialize. We are social animals. Some animals are not social, but we are. So we have a big need to be part of a community, know people, have lots of friends, acquaintances, all that in our life. But at the same time, we have another need to feel safe, to feel very secure. And I think that's the contradiction, because we want to be out there having a lot of people into our lives, but we also want to feel safe. And that's the balance I think sometimes a young person is not able to figure out, especially when they're young adults, they've just grown up. So, you may have a girl who's like, oh, he's just my friend, and everybody who laughs with her is a friend, or it's a guy who could trust somebody like that. But balancing that safety versus the need to socialize, that's the essence of where the aim is to make sure youngsters try to make the right call. The signs are always there, and that's what it's all about. So that's, I think, when I saw the show and also the stories, it was this only. Mostly it was people who did the crime who and it's just a case of why they trusted them. And I think you have to learn to be careful on who you give your trust to. You can't trust anyone and everyone in life. You should trust, but it doesn't mean trust no one. I would not say trust no one, but that balance, that ability, everybody needs to have. And these days with technology, it's getting even worse, because people can intrude into your lives through WhatsApp, through Facebook, everything, and before you know it, you feel that they are in your life, and you feel like you know them, you feel like you can trust them, but maybe not. There was a case recently in the papers I saw. 19 days a girl had known a guy in Bangalore, and a proper, like, she worked in a software company, the guy also worked in software. He came and he murdered her and left, and it was just bizarre. And otherwise, without Facebook, this would have not happened. But it's here to stay. These technologies are here to stay. So we have to learn to how to manage them. It doesn't mean that someone presses a like on your picture, they like you, or they can be trusted. It can be very different.
And also, I think we have to keep in mind, especially as women, especially as young women, especially women who are going out to work, out to study. It's not like the olden days where, I remember my mother or my grandmother, she never left home without someone, like her brother, her father, someone going with her. But now we don't want that. Even as young women, we want to be independent. We want that freedom. But there is, we have to be careful. And our safety is in our own hands. We can't blame the government or the CM and, and the media and ye hua ki wo hua. No. Our safety is in our hands, and we have to take precautions. I remember when I was in when I was in business school, I lived in New York, and I lived in Harlem, which was one of the most dangerous parts of town because our business school was close by. And literally at night, I could sometimes hear gunshots, hear sirens going off. And I was a student, and I took public transportation. I was taking the metro, I was taking the buses. And at all times, I used to carry with me pepper spray. It was attached to my room keys. It was attached to my keychain with some pepper spray saying, this is for safety because, you never know in those underground stations at 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. And you have to be careful. Like, even I live in Delhi, and I feel ashamed to say this, but after 9 p.m. in Delhi, I don't take taxis. I even try not to go out on the streets. If I'm going out for a walk or something, I make sure my phone is fully charged. I make sure someone knows where I'm going. So these are things that we have to, and when we're young, we think we're invincible. We really think that nothing or no one can harm us. But it just takes one incident. It takes one fraction of a second for a crime to happen. So I really think, especially as young women, we have to protect first and foremost ourselves. And that is the message that this book is trying to impart.
Thank you. And the book looks really interesting. Looking forward to it. Are we looking forward to the book? Yes, the book launches now everywhere. Online, you have ebooks, you have everywhere. You can find the book. We have a message Unfortunately, Karan Patel couldn't make it, but we have a message. But can you play that, Ra?
Guys, I'm really sorry I couldn't make it for the press conference, though I'd love to be there. But unfortunately, my health does not permit me to be there with you guys. But nonetheless, all my best wishes with you, and I'm sure Gumrah is going to get only better and soar even higher heights than what it already is. And all the best for the book launch, and I'll try and make it up to you guys. Sorry, and thank you once again.
Thank you, Karan. We missed you here. So with that, I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions, and we open the floor for the questions and answers. The first question coming in from there.
Hi Chetan,
Hi.
Ali from Movie Talkies. My question is to you, like you said, ki it's most difficult doing the acting. So do you feel acting is more difficult?
For me, it is. I think it depends on person. For me, for actors, hopefully writing is more difficult, and I find it very difficult. Whenever I can talk live on stage for a long time, I find acting very difficult. And one other thing I found only once I've done in my life is to walk the fashion show ramp. I thought it's very easy. You just walk, but I've never felt like, you just feel like, who are you? You're like a commodity, you're like a zoo animal or something. I felt like everybody's looking at you and they're just looking at what you're wearing. So and I found it very difficult.
But your book, like so many book, like every book during the they are making the movie.
Movies.
In future, can we see you in an acting also?
No. Because, Bandar or Madari ke khel mein Madari banna hi better hai. So I rather be the guy who controls with the writing. I don't think so. It's not something in fact, I've been offered once, but I didn't because I knew that I'll be the only one in the audience. So, so I didn't do.
Okay.
Achha, by the way, before you go on further questions, we all believe India is very tolerant and just want to make sure every book launch something like this happens. No, we all believe India is very tolerant.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's a controversy every day.
Hi, it's Nikita Kadam from Lemon News. First of all, my question is for Ira ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, congratulations for your book. Ma'am, मुझे आपसे एक सवाल करना है कि ये जो शो है गुमराह, it's a brand in itself. तो ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट आपके दिमाग में कैसा है कि मुझे इस पे बुक लिखना है?
आई थिंक ये कोलैबोरेटिव प्रोजेक्ट था, तो हम सब लोग ने साथ में आके सोचा कि इसको हम अगर स्टोरी बना दें, अगर एक बुक लिख दें, तो वो किसी तरीके से it'll become immortal. So that's why Channel V, I knew someone from the channel. They said, Ira, do you have any ideas for Gumrah? And I said, yes, I think that this would be a good idea. Then I said, listen, let's try to bring Chetan or someone on board to make this into even more of a collaborative project. So being a writer, I really feel as if, when you put something down in a book, it has an eternal life. Movies, I know आजकल movies with इतना ज़्यादा hype हो गया है,
You can
TV
see them on the internet,
shows
no,
and,
later. What is it?
but a book is a book. And काफी लोग बोलने लगे हैं कि, with this, I don't know, किसी ने phone book अब चालू कर दिया है or something or whatever, and e-books. But I still feel like a physical book is something sacred. I really feel this, and I'm happy to have helped make Gumrah from sort of virtual reality to now actual reality, and to make something sacred out of this.
थैंक यू मैम. चेतन जी, मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि जैसे कि मैम का एक बुक आ रहा है, ओके, आपके भी कई बुक्स आ चुके हैं, रिवॉल्यूशन 2020, फिर और भी कई बुक्स है. सो सर, आपकी और कौन सी अपकमिंग बुक्स हमको देखने को मिलेगी?
अभी एक मैं किताब लिख रहा हूँ जो अक्टूबर में दिवाली तक आनी चाहिए. So I can't tell much details, but it's a novel, and I'm writing from a woman's point of view this time. So trying to do something different. It's very difficult, but I'm trying.
सो चेतन जी एंड इरा जी, आप एक अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं कि एक शॉर्ट में मैसेज आप यूथ्स को क्यों क्या देना चाहेंगे और वो क्या होगा?
I would like to say, in context of this book, again, my message, I do a lot of work on this, I do a lot of activism on this, is a young woman's safety is in her own hands. You know, she is first and foremost responsible for her own self and her own body. So take that power, embrace that power, and do what you can to protect yourself. And it's really the need of the hour, you know, the need of the hour, because I'm on the field. You know, I see what's happening. I look at these cases. I write about these cases. I'm there, you know, and so I go to the jails. I talk to these criminals. Go to the courts. So for my work, I do this, and therefore I see a picture that maybe a lot of you don't get to see about what the reality is, and therefore for that I feel that really that is my message, especially to the young women in the audience.
Chetan sir, Prabhat from
Yeah, I think she basically said it better than, I mean, safety first today. That's what, and not just for women, men also can get. I mean, of course, women face it much more, but there are many times it's not even about harm done to them. A boy can get into bad company. They can join friends who are doing crime. They don't know what is cyber crime. They don't know what is drugs. What is that? There are many things. Even a male can be Gumrah, and you know, so that's also applies to them also.
Chetan sir, Prabhat from APNS News Service. You know, film from Three Idiots to Two Stage to Kai Poche, every film was a big success on the box office. But did you get the due credential which you needed as an
आप
author?
पूछ रहे हो, you are still asking me about those films, so हो गया credit? I think so. I think I'm very lucky. I'm one of the luckiest writers because the films got made. There may have been some issues with one film in the past, but even that is now everybody knows what is the book behind Three Idiots and all that. That time, maybe 6 years ago, there was an issue, but since then, like I'm very lucky. Even for example, Half Girlfriend that is going to come. I'm one of the co-producers now, so it's okay. I think it takes time, but I'm nothing to complain about. I think now today it's come to a level sometimes when the filmmakers sit down, they want to highlight my name because it helps them sell the film. So I've learned that once you make a brand for yourself, then that can also, then they want to give due credit. They want to give you more credit actually. Then you can write the forward also and you get credit. Whereas Ira has done the work.
Any more questions? Thank you so much for being with us, and
Thank
good
you,
luck
guys.
for your book launch.
Thank you,
Thank you.
and
Thank
do
you. Thank you for being
do
here.
read the book, do buy the book, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
डालूं मैं?
ऐसे काम नहीं होता है।
I'm glad yaar, you and I finally had something to
Hello, hello, hello.
life.
Yeah, no way to keep saying. I don't know about life and all, but
It's there always. In your grandmom, you can have a laugh.
Ma'am, can this camera look please?
book to eternal hai.
Just camera look. Rolling? Ira wanted to ask, one of the most celebrated author of the country and considered to be one of the most influential person in the world by the Times magazine. He's coming to your book launch event. How do you feel about it?
It's fantastic. It's always great to get Chetan's support. And not only is he a well-wisher, he's also a friend. And so it's fantastic. We were just talking about it, how nice it is for us to do something and for us to be part of this together. So thank you, Chetan.
It is considered one of the first TV series to be adapted in a book. So how was the experience? How challenging were to adapt in the book?
It was challenging because the stories were pretty disturbing and they're real life stories. So as you're writing these, you know that these incidents have taken place, and many of them have ended in death. So it was difficult, but I thought that these were stories that needed to be told, and therefore I wrote them.
You also turned from banker to an author as such. Was it difficult? And as of now, what is the scenario of the publishing industry as such? Does it encourage new authors and new writers as well?
Well, I mean, it's not easy. Many industries are not easy, like movies, music, any talent-driven industry is not easy, but it's still pretty good in India right now. Books business is still growing. We have a lot of online bookstores as well as these bookstores like this. A lot of literary festivals. The fact that Gumrah, which is already a successful TV series, decided to do a book means they see potential in this also.
But internationally, the kind of competition an author gets, the kind of celebrity status they get. Do you think in the future Indian authors
But
will...
internationally, even prime ministers get paid more than Indian prime minister. What to do now? Because our economy is less.
Okay.
We get, but yeah, you're right. The money can be better, but that's not the only reason. But yeah, I hope it gets better.
And as you mentioned, you're turning co-producer, so how is the challenge of being a producer?
It's great. I mean, I'm trying to help out. I mean, of course, beyond the book, I'm trying to help out in coordination and trying to give support to the team. So it's a new experience for me. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Chetan, I want one idea.